Please have a motion to approve the agenda as it is.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, anyone who would like to talk about this or vote in pro of having the agenda as it is, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, with that, the agenda gets approved as it is. Now will be the public comments on closed session items. The time limits allocated for testimony are 3 minutes per person and 20 minutes per public comments. If there are any speakers who wish to talk in this particular item, which is item 3, comments on closed session items, please do so right now. Since, seeing none, then we are gonna convene to closed session. We're gonna have 2 items, item 4A, which will be consideration of student expulsion, we're gonna review 3 cases. And we're gonna have a public employment by Government Code 54957, Superintendent, Assistant Superintendent, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, and Information System, Teaching and Learning Officer contracts today. And it is right now 6:05 as we move to our closed session, and we are hoping to be back right before 7 for anyone online who wish to come back by that time. Thank you.
When she finished one,
It's
just the first.
Oh, okay. How do they put that word in there, so it's there?
That's-
It's like, it's like a thing.
And about the documents? No.
Yeah.
About the documents, no,
No, all you have to do is read that.
the last part of the meeting.
No, you read it
Public,
right now.
no, I mean about the public,
Oh, that, you say no action,
no action, but yes.
and then we'll do that. Yeah, it's under closed session.
Is Nancy Well is sick?
I don't think she's there.
She's
Absent. Yeah, I don't think.
And then,
Oh, the thing for.
and then she got better, and then she said she had a rebound,
Oh,
because she was definitely coughing when she was talking to me.
okay, I hope she's okay, yeah.
She'll be okay.
You know, she seems like she was super weak and scared to be sick. She had no- Cindy, This is, yeah.
There's a microphone.
Right now?
Yes.
Yeah, give me 1 second, I'll be online.
Here, we're trying it out and see.
Who took?
Okay.
I think we'll just support it.
Okay.
But our minds just.
Okay, I'll say so. Yeah.
Actually, you can get something in person, that's.
Okay, so it is right now 7:49 PM and we reconvene after our closed sessions. So which make us to go to probably item 5, yeah, item 5, which are the closed sessions announcements. So we have 3 announcements for outcome 1, the board agrees to the panel recommendation regarding the expulsion in closed session. The board voted to expel student 133743 until the last school day of December of the 2024-2025 school year. That's for case 1. For case 2, we have again outcome 1, the board agrees to a stipulated agreement, the read in closed session, the board voted to expel student 143453 to suspend expulsion and to approve an stipulated agreement. And in case 3, in public session, we have outcome, the outcome was 1, board agrees to the panel's recommendation regarding the expulsion that read, the board voted to expel student 133233 until the last school day of December of the 2024 to 2025 school year. Yeah, it's been a sad day, but, and then the last item we were discussing, which was public employment governance code 54957, no decision was taken. And with that, we reconvene and we go to number 6 of today's agenda, which is comments from the board and superintendent. We hope Trustee Nancy Newark is getting better today, and so we're gonna start down the line today with Michelle.
For sake of time, all I'm just gonna say is, just gonna wanna honor and recognize Juneteenth yesterday. And that's it.
Yes, thank you, Michelle. I think that was a great thing to recognize. I don't think I have anything to report, so. I'll pass.
I'm sending my packet comments in. I have to say that I was looking at the last few weeks since our last meeting, and I really enjoyed the promotion ceremonies and the 8th grade awards and even the candidate outreach nights that we did. I also went to the ones at the high school district, the one at the high school district this week, and it's just like a busy, crazy, exciting time of year, and I'm looking forward to a brief vacation in July. So, but it's just great to see, you know, all the growth and celebration that we do at the end of the year. And it's exciting to see people who are interested in, you know, serving on the board with us. So that was very positive overall.
Well, I will send my comments, I haven't sent them, but I did send late, but they were my comments from the last meeting. The last week has been easier in comparison with most of the last few months. There has been so much going on that now it seems like months ago that we were going through graduations. But it wasn't, it was like less than 10 days ago. We had the opportunity to go and talk with the kids. The kids were awesome, and we got a very nice look of what they are living, what they are enjoying, what are their hopes for the future. We got some heartbreaking stories, some cute and nice stories. We got sad, we got happy, we got hopeful in general for different kids and their different lives and situations. So it's always very, very good to go and be able to connect with them. So one of my kids also had his first graduation because he's in middle college. He's gonna also graduate. He graduated about 1 or 2 weeks ago, and now he's gonna graduate from middle college next week. So interesting times. From that, I also want to recognize Juneteenth. And also, again, as we passed last year, our recognition of Pride Month. This year is again kind of took us out of time. So we've been talking about how to do more timely resolutions that give the district time to react and be prepared every year and make it more, make us used to do that every year for what we want to think about it. So we're gonna be talking about that probably in the next governance and get more extensive direction from each of us about what we believe. So we are preparing for summer, which is gonna be great and hot. I'm gonna be traveling for a few weeks during July, but I will be able to answer emails some time in between, maybe not immediately. Other than that, I hope everybody has a great weekend and can recharge because as usual, it's gonna be another interesting year coming very soon.
Oh, and we can go visit summer school.
Yes, so with my comments, I was going to talk first about, we had our executive cabinet retreat today in the very glamorous second story, room 210 of Bishop School. We locked ourselves in there and it was a very productive day. We're going to have a cabinet retreat later in the summer, and of course the management retreat, and then the back to school assembly, where all that's in the works. So it's exciting to start thinking about next year. Summer school has already started. The Summer Bridge program for San Miguel started last week, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
First time we've tried that to try to extend summer school. So that's exciting. The Jose Valdez math program has started for 21 of our students. They're up at Stanford. I think that started today. And then our regular summer school partnership with Stanford, including our extended school year program, starts next week. So there's not really, I don't know what summer is. We just
Not
keep
breaks for
going.
everybody.
Yeah, so that's what I have.
Okay, so with that, we move to the next item, which is item 7, comments from the Sunnyvale Education Association. Do we have anyone from that body online who wish to talk?
No.
Okay, since none, then we move to the next item, item number 8, comment from the California School Employees Association. Do we have anyone from that body who wishes to talk to us online?
No.
Okay, seeing none, we move forward. Comments from the public. And we do have one comment in person, one current person. Do we have anyone online?
That's for item 10 though.
Oh, that's
That's
right,
for
okay,
personal
okay,
tax.
okay. So we don't have any. Do we have any, sorry, then online, you say?
No.
Okay, seeing none, then we move to the next item, the public hearing. So today we're having a public hearing regarding proposed education parcel tax on November 5, 2024, and for that, we're gonna get an introduction from Dr. Gallagher.
Okay, so as you know, we discussed this last meeting. The law requires us to discuss it in consecutive meetings. First, you sunshine the resolution, and then there's a public hearing about it, and later in the agenda, there's the possibility of approving the resolution to call for a parcel tax election on November 5th, as we discussed before. This would be an extension of the existing parcel tax for 8 years at the same rate, $59 per parcel. Just a continuation of Measure BB, which was passed 7 years ago. So we just need to do a public hearing at this point.
Okay, so starting with that, we are starting with the public hearing, and it is right now 7:58. So anyone who wishes to be part of this and talk with this particular item, which is item 10, we have one card for that. So we're starting our public meeting, and our first talker will be Peggy Shane Brewster.
Good evening, my name is Peggy Shane Brewster. I have an incoming kinder and an incoming 4th grader now at Bishop Elementary. I'm here to speak in favor of the parcel tax that we want to put on the November ballot, the renewal of the parcel tax. I am hopeful and confident that we'll have the same enthusiasm in the public that we did for the bond measure. And I am looking forward to serving on the Support Sunnyvale Schools Committee as well. We do have, for anyone listening, a kickoff on July 16th. And if you would like to participate, we are looking for some people to take part in that fun. So please contact me, PeggyShaneBrewster@gmail.com. Thank you so much. I look forward to this.
Perfect. Seeing no more comments here or online, we can move forward to the, we are closing the public hearing at 8 p.m. And we are moving to the next item on the agenda, consent agenda items. At this moment, any item of the consent agenda is subject to review and discussion prior to being approved by the board. If necessary, an item may be removed for separate action. The public may address the board meeting regarding any items in the consent agenda. Board, do we have a motion? Do you, before we go to public comments, actually, if there is any comment from the public first about the consent agenda item, please speak now, raise your hand, or raise your electronic hand if you're online.
None.
Okay, seeing none,
I move
board
approval of the consent agenda as listed.
as it is.
I'll
Any
second. I'll second.
Okay, do we have any discussion or about any items? Okay, seeing none, then please can we have a vote to approve the items? Everybody in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, with that, we pass all the items in the agenda. The next will be item 12, review and discussion, and we have first 12A, the annual report of the Community Bond Oversight. And for that, we don't have Mr. Brand, as I said, Brad Burns, as I say, but we do have the director of the board committee, the chair of the committee, Mr. Doug Combs. Please, welcome. Go ahead.
Thank you, and I was told that Arthur would be introducing me, or, all good?
Come on, Arthur.
So good evening, tonight we have Doug Combs, you hear that? Oh, there we go. Good evening, tonight we have Doug Combs, active chair of the CBOC Community Bond Oversight Committee, here to give the annual update. Also, I did wanna just take a second to show some appreciation to Doug. It's been really difficult some feedback there.
You're all right.
It's been really difficult to fill the committee positions, and so Doug stepped in when we really needed him, so just wanted to tip my hat and tell him thank you for his service.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So, good evening, Board of Education. As mentioned, my name is Doug Coons, and I am the chair of the Sunnyvale School District's Community Bond Oversight Committee. This annual summary presents a comprehensive review of the projects that have been undertaken by the CBOC for the district during the 2023 to 2024 school year. Our CBOC plays a critical role in ensuring transparency and accountability in the expenditure of taxpayer funds for school infrastructure improvements. The review examines the key projects, their progress, and the impact on the district's facilities and educational environment. The Sunnyvale School District Community Bond Oversight Committee was established to oversee the implementation of the district's bond measures. Its primary responsibility is to monitor the expenditures of taxpayer-approved bond funds and provide reports to the community. This report summarizes the projects undertaken by the CBOC during the 2023 to 2024 school year and assesses their outcomes. This year, several key projects were undertaken by the district relating to our local bond measure, GG. For those projects, the CBOC was updated on the scope, objectives, and expenditures for each initiative to ensure that the taxpayer dollars are being spent toward the projects spelled out in the bond language. These scopes include, but are not limited to, modernizing our school facilities, improving safety and security measures, and upgrading our campus's infrastructure. The specific main expenditures that CBOC reviewed included 3 items. First, the HVAC upgrades at San Miguel, Vargas, and Fairwood Elementary Schools. Second, the Ellis Elementary School campus modernization. And third, the Sunnyvale Middle School 2-story classroom building project. And for that, the committee as well as the community are excited to see the first step taken in modernizing that campus. My son was a little less diplomatic when I, anyway, sorry. In regard to the financial review of Measure GG and Measure BB for the 2022 to 2023 school year, the beginning balance for Measure GG was $28,679,442.26, and the ending balance was $31,186,795.61. The increase in the balance over that fiscal year was from the district successfully completing the second issuance, or Series B, of the Measure GG funds in April of 2023. The annual revenue for Measure BB was $1,107,150.34. We reviewed expenditure reports for each quarter, as well as year over year during our CBOC meetings this year, and received detailed descriptions for each. We are pleased to report that Ida Bailey performed a clean audit for Measure GG through fiscal year 2022 to 2023, affirming the district's diligent financial management and bond language adherence. In closing, the committee is satisfied that the partial tax revenue and bond funds have been spent appropriately and in accordance with the requirements set forth under Prop 39 and the language associated with the Measure BB parcel tax. The committee's points of contact in the district are Arthur Cuffey, of course, Chief Business Officer, and Brent Burns, Director of Facilities and Operations. Our committee would like to give special thanks to Jean McKayan and Liz Tagoya for their help in the preparation of the reports distributed throughout the year and in the meeting coordination. And finally, the committee would like to thank Lori Van Gogh for her service to Sunnyvale School District and her participation in CVOC meetings throughout the year. We wish her a happy retirement and we will miss her. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board, do we have, before this, do we have any comments from the public regarding this item 12A? Raise your electronic hand now.
None.
Okay, since we don't have any, then we can move forward. Do we have any comments, questions? Well, before that, I would like to thank you for your volunteering in this very important commission and in this very important thing that we do, so we can have good schools and the law can be abide and we can use them more. Somebody else is checking that everything is going as it should, and this committee is very important. And hopefully that, I think, may have something to do with us getting more bonds, because everything has been very clear and very open for everybody thanks to this body. Any comments?
No comment. So, yeah, thank you so much, and it's been great being back on the bond committee this year. It's been super fun. I was wondering if, not so much for Doug, but for talking to Brand, I think I put it in my packet comments. You know, as I was like looking at the report, it just outlines the top 3 projects, and one of the things we found when we were doing, going around to all the different schools regarding looking at for new bond money for Measure C, you know, one of the things that the schools who had not had large projects in a while, like for example, Cherry Chase, you know, they were like, what have you done for me lately, basically? And basically I just referred them to the facilities master plan, and on the facilities master plan, one of the requests that they had was for new library furniture, right? And that's something that when I was in the bond meeting, the bond oversight meeting, that was actually on Brandt's list, like, hey, we did that this year, right? So I was thinking like maybe just going forward as an attachment to the chair's report, there could be something that sort of aligns projects that we were doing, like even by school, that aligns to the facilities master plan, or that have things that have happened with bond money at each of the different schools, just so even if it's smaller things, people might not realize like why that door opens again, you know, or things like that. It's just not on maintenance, it actually is coming out of the bond money. I know not everything is covered by bond money, but like the library furniture for Cherry Chase was. So it's just a thought, and it's not hard and fast. I don't know what you thought about that.
We could do it then, but also Brand updates the board on progress on projects at other times too, so we could accomplish it then as
Yeah,
well.
I think like this is like an end of year summary.
That's true.
If you were just
Right.
trying to say like, this is the chair's opportunity to say, this is what we've accomplished this year, I was thinking like,
There's an attachment,
there's just a quick, like,
all the stuff.
yeah, and it's not, you know, we get it every time in our meeting, it's not like he would have to go create something super new, it would just be like, even a shorter version, maybe. That's just my
Make a note of that.
thought.
Okay, that makes sense.
I wanted to say thank you, Doug, for your presentation. That was helpful. I have not made the bond oversight meetings this year because I think you had one that was like a week before my due date or on my due date or something, and then my baby came early and then I just couldn't anymore. So, but thank you so much for all your hard work as part of this committee and all the other committee members. And I think I heard you say earlier before the meeting started that there are 4 open seats on the bond committee or upcoming seats.
Yeah, so I was just having a look. So one committee member has their term expire next March, and then another 3 in June, if memory serves from when I was looking at that.
Okay,
And then somebody else is re-upped until 2026.
okay. And how long are you staying?
I was chatting with Brant, and my term ends in June of next year, and it sounds like I'm termed out.
Yeah, okay.
And depending on how things go in November, it could even
Be sooner.
be sooner.
What is the processes by which we recruit new board members for this committee?
We do community outreach. Often what I do is I contact each of the principals and say like, who do you know in your community that would be a good member? Frankly, I reach out to the Rotary Club. That's been a good source of members over the years.
Cause they have to be
And there's-
representative from
Right.
different
There's
groups.
like, I remember
Yeah.
in, at AEC, we talked about like how they have to hit certain buckets. And I feel that we should, in this committee, as in all other aspects of representation, have committee members who represent our diverse community. And I hope that we can prioritize this with CBOC as we do with other things.
Yeah, and I think this also needs to be a particularly like a community that has expertise in
Right.
you know,
Yeah, I
Kind
accounting
of why
very
it's
much.
these different buckets too,
Right,
get
right.
different.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly, different buckets, but they need to know about accounting.
Right. I remember I don't remember all of this requirements, but I remember that there are some fairly like.
Yeah, one has to be a member of a,
bonafide
Taxpayer group.
association.
one has to be a member of a parent organization. I think that's been your role.
I think I've been at large, although
You may be out there. It's not hard.
I could fall into the PTA bucket quite easily.
Yeah, there has to be a senior, I don't know, there's a
Yeah,
Local
there's-
business
right.
person.
local business person. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
maybe. So, yeah, we'll continue to look. Okay,
Before we go, but I just want to ditto all the appreciation that they've all, I'm just dittoing their appreciation, so you can go
Thank you.
home.
thanks for waiting late too.
Thanks for waiting, yeah. Okay, with that, thank you. We move to the next item, review and discuss the amending of 2024-2025 board meeting calendar. And for that, we're gonna hear from Dr. Gallagher.
Yeah, so just real quick, I wanted to get some feedback on potential meeting dates for this time of year, or next year. So we messed up, and then by messing up, it opened our eyes to like, hey, we should really look at the last 2 meetings. The mess up was that we scheduled one inadvertently for Juneteenth next year, and we don't wanna do that. Juneteenth is on a Thursday, that complicates things. The other thing that complicates things is the fact that the high school graduations, the two that our feed into is on June 5th. So I think that's not a good choice either, because that's a community event. So, not listed on here, because I meant to update this, but somehow it didn't update, was an option of perhaps a Wednesday, June 4th, board meeting, so that would be different. And then we could do another one 2 weeks later, but 2 weeks later would have to be on another Wednesday, which would be weird for us, I realize that. Or we could do it 3 weeks later, but that would push it a little bit later to June 26th. The reason for, I'll take the first meeting. I now realize how difficult it is for the CBO to put together a budget so soon, right after the May revise. So the May revise comes out mid-May, and then to turn that around essentially in 1 week to publish the budget is like sort of ridiculous. So most districts have their first reading the first week of June. So that's why that recommendation. And then the second meeting can be 2 weeks later if there aren't significant changes. If there are significant changes, it makes it almost impossible to update in time because like after a meeting, you have the Friday and the Monday, and then items are due for the next agenda packet. So I want to know what your thoughts are about a Wednesday meeting, Wednesday, June 4th. And then when should the next meeting be? Should it be 2 weeks later? And that would have to be another Wednesday, June 18th, or should it be 3 weeks later, June 26th?
Yeah, okay, but.
Public comment and then our discussion.
Okay, so if there is any member of the community who wish to speak about this particular item, please raise your hand now.
None?
Okay, since none, we can start with our review and discussion. There is no vote on this, so there is no motion. And I prefer if we go for either B or C, so we don't stay here until the 26th of June. And I'm okay with going on a Wednesday.
Okay, so then it would be, well, we could decide if we wanted to have it on June 5th, which is the day of the graduations.
Yeah.
That might be a
It's
problem.
okay to
I think
have
June
it on
4th
the
is-
4th. Huh?
June 4th is.
Yeah.
If you do the 5th, I will not be there because my son will be graduating.
See?
So I think
In June 4th?
June 4th is okay.
June
Yeah.
4th is the first one, and I guess how like, are we like trying to look into the future to see what the LCAP, like, what changes we will want to
No,
make?
it's the,
Is it
the,
dependent on
it's
the
using the May
revise?
revised budget.
Yeah, so we're looking at the May revise and we're trying to guess whether or not it will have significant impact on our budget.
So that part is whether or not we want to have 2 weeks between the two meetings or 3 weeks.
Right.
If we think, so it should be just an update of the LCAP, so it
Okay.
shouldn't be as significant as this year.
Okay.
So if there aren't gonna be, if we do a good job and like review it really well ahead of it and all that, like the 2 weeks in between is probably fine.
What about, so maybe, because I know option C has that May date, I don't know if that May makes it trickier in the first instance, like it makes it tricky for random May. Now see random, you're talking about.
That's the one that
But
where,
what if it was May 29th and June 18th?
but that's the one where he said that May
It's
29th is
too-
actually a little difficult because the May revise is
Okay, so that's the
May.
piece
That's the tricky part.
Yeah.
Okay, then we will go, it seems like we are leaning towards an option B, but with June 4.
June 4th and
instead.
June 18th, 2 Wednesdays.
So I guess the question is putting that 2 weeks, right, so I think, and right, we Arthur, if you guys know for, I mean, is June 4th and June 18th a better option for staff, or is May 29th and June 18th?
Definitely
Figure it out.
June 4th and June 18th.
Okay,
But what about June 26th?
well, that's what,
Nobody, I'm
I'm
saying,
fine with June 20th, I mean,
I'm
either
okay with
one's
June
fine, but.
Yeah, I prefer if we go for June 18 because
It's
seems like too far
closer
away.
to the end of the school year.
Okay, so June 4th and June
18.
18th, 2 Wednesdays.
Like how much more difficult is that having it 2 weeks apart as opposed to 3 weeks?
It's only difficult, well, Dr. Dean, how difficult is it to make updates to the LCAP in essentially 2 days, it's not 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, no?
It's essentially, there's 2 weeks between the meetings, but there's 2 days to make the changes.
Yes.
hmm,
Well, if we follow the other dates and timelines we have, we should be leading up to that, so I think it would be fine, because we will. It should work fine because we'll be having meetings starting in October about progress and more intentionally at our February mid-year update, and then we'll have our April update, so I think it should be fine, because that won't be the first time we're having a conversation about our LCAP.
And it would probably be trickier if it was like how we just did a new LCAP, right? The new LCAP is trickier than the we're just making slight changes.
That is correct.
So it feels doable. Tasha? So it feels doable, you're not hearing the 4th and 18th and super stressed.
No, I think that'll be fine, as long as it works for the budget, because I think that's the more difficult part in this process, and if that works for that portion, which it seems it does, then it'll work for the LCAP as well.
She was always super stressed by that mic situation.
Got it.
Because she wasn't stressed, she just ran with it.
Yeah, that
I just worked. I mean, I'm actually okay with the 26th, that you want the 20, you just want it to be closer to the end of the school
Yeah.
year.
I'm fine with the
Yeah.
26th, if it makes it easier on staff, I think that's fine, I have a slight preference for personal reasons for the 20th, but it's not, it's overcomable, and I don't actually have anything planned, I just generally
Like the idea.
I like the idea, exactly.
I can throw out this other one, that girls camp that I'm in charge of, we don't always get a pick, but we always try for that 3rd or 4th week of June.
Mm.
So we could, I mean, I would just like, if I'm gone one of those weeks, like whatever day we pick, right? But I will for sure be gone probably one of those weeks.
Mhm.
So we could wait till I know that, and then, I mean,
That's true, we
if
could
you,
wait.
if maybe there isn't,
We can wait.
We could change that one later.
Okay.
So let's pick one. Let's pick the 2 week option.
pick the 18th, so
Yeah.
pick 4th and 18th for now.
4 and 18 for now, yeah.
And then if we need to
Things
adjust
start
it,
looking
muddle
Yeah.
it,
bumpy, we can.
Yeah.
Or if Arthur comes back and is like, oh my gosh, that 2
No.
week is way too stressful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where did
I think he went to go.
Talk to Doug, he's to thank Doug.
Okay,
So 4th and 18th. Okay, we'll bring it back in August with the new calendar. Okay, we're on to the LCAP.
Next item, with that, we move to item number 13, review and action, and that means that there will be a vote. So the first will be 13A, and that is the approval and adoption of the 2024 to 2027 Local Control Accountability Plan and California Local Indicators. And for that, we have we're gonna listen from Dr. Tasha Bean, Chief Teaching and Learning Officer.
Okay, well, we have arrived here, board, with, I feel, a really solid 2024 through 27 LCAP plan. This is in alignment with our local indicators, so including information that we've received from our strategic plan, but also in our assessment of the local indicators that we're responsible for. We are able to kind of move forward in a positive way. Our 4 goals have great alignment. We have fiscal alignment with regard to responsibilities that we have there. We have been in close contact with the County Office of Education, finally with few to no revisions, and then final revisions that have been identified by you, board, have been made. And so we are ready, I think, to move forward with approving our 2024, 2027 LCAP plan.
Good. Let's start with if there is any comment from the community who wish to speak right now. Now is the moment to raise your hand. We do have one card in person. Do we have anyone online?
No.
Okay, since not, then we're gonna move to our first public comment, and please, we welcome Peggy Shane Brewster, you have 3 minutes, you know the deal.
Yeah, hi there, Peggy. I'm just here actually on behalf of another member of the public that couldn't speak, and she really wanted to know specifically what kind of outreach there is for families that are receiving special education services. She wanted that more specified or at least discussed tonight, and she asked me to come speak about that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. In this case, as is agendized, definitely we can talk about, you wanna highlight any of the special education outreach that were done while we were building this?
Yes, with regards to our LCAP plan specifically, it builds upon our strategic plan and the sessions that we've had in order to get community input. We had specific sessions with special education families that weighed into that. In addition to that, support of our Director of Special Education Services, Lynn Van Mark, has been in contact with several parents and collaborating with them, as well as our teachers, even though they're not the parents, they kind of weighed in on some of the elements in our plan. And you will see special education called out explicitly throughout the plan. And really, one of the goal areas in our plan, which is goal number 3, is really with special education and other families who tend to either be underrepresented or feel like we're not hearing their voices to the degree that we want to as a district, are captured in this new goal for us. And that will require additional work and planning for us to do that, but it's really about student voice, and some of those voices are students and our families who have special needs.
Thank you. So, board, do we have any comments or questions today about the LCAP that you wanna express right now?
I had one, but I'm looking for it. Sorry, give me one
Well, should I
second.
make a motion first?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I move approval of the, I don't know if they have the LCAP for the
24,
24 to
27.
27 years.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, sorry. So let's start with our comments, questions.
So I feel like the person, Peggy's comment was in reference to, she also sent us an email, and as part of her email, she had a question, this member of the public had a question about why the LCAP does not have a goal explicitly addressing how the district intends to improve special education metrics in the next 3 years. Could you talk about that, or I'm sure it's been considered in some fashion?
I don't have it noted here, Madam, within the plan, but again, if you look in the goals, there are explicit goals identifying needs, in our content areas of math, English, language arts, attendance, for our special education populations. In addition to that, their access to, the comprehensive, core subject areas, is explicitly spoken out in the plan. The other element in the LCAP that we speak to is about our capacity to provide greater access to the general education core curriculum to our special education population. We're in alignment with the state, we're trying to increase that number to get to at least 80% of our students having the majority of their time in connection with the core population as much as possible. So those are just the ones off the top of my head. But in addition to that, they are flowing through. To answer more explicitly why maybe there's not just say a goal that's about special education, one that's not in alignment with really how the LCAP is outlined. But in addition to that, it's more about areas that need improvement or areas you need to grow in. And so those are the areas that have been called out within the plan to address that. Areas of support for special education that we want to work on, while it's not all captured in the LCAP plan, it is definitely captured within our strategic plan. And as we went into this process, one of the things we talked about is everything won't be listed in the LCAP, but if we look under the big heading of strategic plan and our vision and what we're trying to accomplish, there will be other activities and other things that we do in order to address the needs of our populations that we need to, and special education is one of those. One of the areas of focus for those families, for example, will be some forums with special education families, families of students who, of parents who have students with autism is one group in particular who have resonated to have some unique needs and want to, in some ways, kind of have affinity group around that particular need for that. In a more global way that we're trying to address that is through some of the parent education and training opportunities that we have with families this year, where we're trying to talk about how to advocate for your kids, but also how to help your kids learn. Will be some of those sessions. We started that a little bit this year with one of our big sessions, which I think was pretty well attended and parents appreciated at Bishop this year. And we plan to do at least one of those in the fall and the spring next year, including some additional affinity groups for groups that we've identified that we want to continue to build on the work that we started last year as a part of our equity series.
Thank you, that was very thorough for just off the top of your head.
That's good.
And I found mine, so I think I put in the packet review questions, in the packet review questions, it was number 4. And it was about the new LCAP, not the review of the 3rd year of last year's. So in the LCAP update 24 to 27, it's on page 72. And it's metric 1.4, talking about student suspension rates. And, you know, I was reading it, it said, I understand that it's listing the number of students, like students with disabilities, homeless youth, African American, Asian, Hispanic and Latino and white students. So it's listing the different categories and it has numbers. But then like for the target continues with the numbers instead of being a percentage. So I think it's fine to say, this is how many we have, this is the count of how many today, but 3 years from now, like whatever the percentage is of that particular population or of overall or whatever, but 3 years from now, we may not have the same number of students with disabilities, we may not, like, so just to say 16, it didn't make much sense to me, do you know what I mean?
Are
In the
you,
column that's the goal, so
Is
it's
it 1.5 student expulsions or which one?
suspension,
1.4.
1.4. And it does the same, I think in student expulsions, the goal is zero, the district expels 0 students, that's the goal, right? But for student suspension rates, it is like right now, the baseline is socioeconomically disadvantaged students, there's 44, and the goal is 3 years from now for socially economically disadvantaged students, it'll be below 45. So like that could be 44. Like it just, I think the target would make more sense as a percentage, even if like whether or not maybe it should be a number and a percentage for like where we're at. If we're just doing a count and then that's a percentage, but I don't see how the target, in other places, the target is always a percent. That's the only one I found where the target was not a percent unless we were saying we don't want 0. You know, like 1.8 is saying 80% or, you know, it's just when you're talking about student numbers, right?
Yes, we discussed this, and one of the additions we can make, we can put the percentage in parentheses.
Yeah.
But the reason for putting a number, because a percentage would give a false sense of success. And what I mean by that is, if you have homeless youth, for example, and maybe you only have 4.
Yeah.
So the numbers are so, fortunately for us, the numbers are so small with regards to the rates of suspension that a percentage is not for us telling the real story. So we wanted to get to numbers because that seemed to be a little bit more transparent about improvement or lack thereof. Because the numbers are so small, if you use a percentage, it may give a false sense either way, pro or con, to be very honest. But if it's helpful, we can say what, for example, students with disabilities is 29, we could say what that percentage represents now as an FYI.
Right.
But the real number is about the 29 because it should be, you know, we want it to be less than that moving forward.
Right.
And that's why numbers were chosen for these particular numbers.
Right.
So the reason you chose numbers instead of percentages is because the statistics would be skewed because the sample size is so small.
That is correct.
I had a question when we're looking at this. Maybe because I didn't look at this before, right, like as closely as Bridget had. But if I'm doing the math, you add up all the numbers on the baseline and it tells you there, right, it's 128 students suspended or suspensions, right? And then if you add up all the numbers, that's our target, that was 200 something. So we're saying like that, right, like that number, that's saying we could have more suspensions. And it's because of like some of the groups are probably way under their kind of percentage, so to speak, right? Like, so you have like white is currently at 12, but then the target is white below 22. So that's actually a higher number.
Yeah, I actually think that's a typo, that's probably supposed to be 2. And
there's
I'm
several
also-
typos
I
there.
see a typo on this one actually. But yeah, so thank you for pointing that out. I'll follow up, but there's actually a typo. And I need to look at the updated version because it actually may have different numbers than what's here, to be very honest. And as we're talking, I'm gonna look.
And so these are 23, 24 numbers also, and like so these are like this year, like this is this year's number, right? But like when we've been given data before, like it was for the end of, the last number we had as a snapshot, like officially for like how many, like if you go on Ed Data or you go on any of the state stuff, they're still only showing like last year's end numbers, right? So like I think it was like 75 or 78 African American students, 75 or 78 unhoused students, and 75 or 78 American Indian students. Like there's these numbers. And so if I put it plugged in, like, okay, African American, is it 4 out of 78, or like, do we have less or more now? Like, that's why the percentage would be kind of helpful, right? So anyway, that was my question.
It's a good question, I'll take a look at it, and I'm gonna also look at the updated plan, because I know we've made some corrections since we're talking as well.
But I did wanna say that the narrative, I was reading through, like the narrative part is like there's someone has spent some time on that and that is like super readable. And I really wanna thank the whole team who worked on that because I think it tells a story of like the district. It's not just like, doesn't feel like a rough draft, it feels like it's a good story. So I just wanna say, great writing and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna keep harping on these questions. So how were these specific numbers chosen? Are they like based on percentage, based on the current numbers? We want them lower, right? Does it continue to, are these also typos that some of these numbers are higher in our target than the current?
That's what I'm saying, like
Okay,
the
right.
Asian, the
Okay.
Asian there says 32, but I know that's incorrect.
So the Asian says 32, the white says 22, and then socially disadvantaged says 45. Is that also a typo?
That is correct. I don't know what happened here as I'm looking, to be honest. That's why I'm looking at it.
Well, and then
But
the English learner one on the
And the
other one, so I
English
think there's a lot of
learners.
numbers in there that.
Right. So how did the team come to the numbers that were supposed to be there?
they're based on the current numbers
Yeah.
of what that shows. And I can't remember if you used April 2024 or May 2024, but it's one or the other. So that when we do our annual update, we're using that consistent number
Yeah.
versus trying to use CAS data, which is a year old.
Okay, so you like used a percentage target, but then translated it into numbers because the percentages would have been off because of.
No, we're actually using numbers,
Okay.
the numbers that we have in our system for those groups who have suspensions.
I hear Eileen asking, how did you get to the target numbers? But the target
Yes.
numbers are off, so the target numbers
You
were.
choose those.
Yeah.
Yes, based upon what percentage you want to reduce over the year in time.
Yes, so based on the percentage and yeah.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Good question.
But the population numbers of those groups could fluctuate.
That is correct.
So that's the little challenging part about making a number the target as well, right?
Yes, and
You just
we're
wanna
not
see-
using percentage, because if your numbers go up or they go down, then it's not telling an authentic of how much you improved or didn't improve.
Now you would wanna use it, you wanna use a percentage.
I think,
What
You wanna use both.
let's just say hypothetically, I'm gonna use homeless youth. For a while, we had 7 usually on average, right? If you use a percentage there versus when we had 74, that's not an authentic story. If you just use a percentage. If you talk about the number, if you have more or less, I think it's a more transparent story than the percentage. Because it could show you did really, really well when you may not have, or it could show you did really, really poorly if you only used the percentage. If that makes sense.
Okay, so I would
Because
vote,
it'll
I would
be
vote we
skewed.
use both.
Yeah.
I would vote we use both.
I think you said you do both.
I would do
Okay,
both,
We'll
yeah.
do both.
Okay,
We'll do
super.
both.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so are we ready to approve the 3-year LCAP? Okay, so everybody who wants to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
And with that, we have an LCAP.
that is
Yay.
it's an exciting LCAP for us,
Yes.
extra exciting.
So the next one will be 13B, approval of the 2024-2025 adopted budget. And for that, we have our CEO, Mr. Arthur Coffey.
Good evening. So yes, item 13B, we're bringing back the 24-25 adopted budget for your approval. No changes from the public hearing, that was May 30th. So I'm here for any questions that you may have.
Okay, so if there are any questions or comments from the public coming to this particular item 13B, please raise your actual hand or the electronic, and we have one, sure. Please go ahead, you have 3 minutes, and Jesus is gonna put you right into.
It'll be Guido.
and this is about 13B, the adopted budget for the next year. Okay, please go ahead.
Are you there, Gita? She's muted.
Oh, I think you're muted, did you wanna?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi. I'm so sorry, I couldn't raise my hand for the earlier topic of LCAP. I wanted to call in to say that the LCAP talks about family engagement in a way that the families can participate and give input in the decision-making process, and I don't see that anywhere listed for the special ed families. That's number one. And number two is, you are quoting like 80% of the kids will be able to, are you able to hear me?
Excuse us.
Yes, sorry, this is we are now to talk about the budget, so this is 13B.
She could email her comment.
I will not be, I raised my hand, but I was not, I could not be selected. I think by then you moved on. So I was just a second late in that. Can I please make my comment?
Sorry, but we did get your email, and you can use spam in your email. You got an answer from your email and Peggy's comment from Dr. Dean, and sorry, but yeah, no, by law we cannot accept any comment with a different topic. But
Okay,
thank you very much, and please use you can send us another email if you want to spam on that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks. So with that, board, do we have any comments or questions regarding the budget?
Or motion?
A motion to start, yeah?
Yeah, I move to approve the item B, which is the 24-25 adopted budget.
I'll second.
Okay, do we want to comment or have any questions before we approve it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for, well, now we have money, thank you for that. That's good, we can use the money that we are gonna get, so can we first, everyone who wants us to have money, please say aye. Aye. Yay, so with that, we can use it, thank you very much. Okay, now we move to the next item, 13C, approval of the resolution R2423 in the matter of calling election to an approval of an educational parcel tax, establishing specification of the election order and requesting consolidation with other elections concurring on November 5, 2024. And for that, we're gonna hear Dr. Gallagher.
Okay, so this resolution is finally the vote to call for the election that I referred to in the public hearing earlier in the meeting. Again, this would be for renewal, $59 per parcel tax, placing it on the ballot for November 5th. It would be for a period of 8 years, extending the existing 7-year Measure BB.
Perfect. So with this, do we have any comments from the public regarding this particular item, item 13C? Please raise your hand now.
None.
Okay, since none, board, do we have a motion with this item?
I recommend the board approve resolution number R24-23.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, with that, do we wanna comment or questions, anything in this motion, in this item? Okay, so please say aye if you wanna vote to approve this item.
Aye.
Okay, with that, we pass and we have a resolution now. We're moving forward for the tax, the parcel tax. Now, the next item will be 13D, and is the approval of the memorandum of understanding between the City of Sunnyvale, Department of Library and Recreation Services, and the Sunnyvale School District and Fremont Union High School District. And for that, we are going to hear from Dr. Gallagher.
Yes, so ordinarily we would have placed this on consent, but there's a possibility that a member may wish to abstain from this particular item. This is a fairly routine but exciting partnership between the district, the Fremont Union High School District, and the city through our partnership with the Columbia Neighborhood Center. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay, do we have any comments from the community regarding this item? Please raise your hand now. Okay, since we don't have any, then we can get a motion from the board.
I motion to approve this item.
Okay, any second?
Last second.
Okay, with that, do we wanna make any questions or comments regarding this?
Just want to be clear that I probably should abstain from this discussion because I'm an employee of the Fremont Union High School District, specifically to teach English as a second language. So I will just
Okay,
not say a thing.
but with that, we still have quorum, so board, do we have any questions or comments related to this before we vote?
This isn't an important question. I'm just wondering why we are using ESL when I thought it was generally accepted that for some people it wasn't the second language.
That is how the high school district lists it.
It's good to have an expert.
That is how they talk about it.
So if it's not good, why are we doing it?
So, okay, so
It's not our
can
program.
I answer this?
Yeah.
So when when you're learning English as a language other than your primary language in your own country, the programs are called EFL, English as a foreign language, and when you learn it in an English-speaking country, the programs are called ESL, even though it might be your third or fourth language. So that's just how the nomenclature of it, and that's how all it's funded federally, and it's gonna be a little untangling there.
So anyone who would like to approve this item, please say aye. Aye. Okay, and with that, we approve the MOU in front of us.
Huzzah!
With that, we move to the next item, which is 13E, approval to enter into an agreement for architectural services with Quadrology Now Architects for the Sunnyvale Middle School campus modernization project. And for that, well, we cannot hear from Mr. Burns, but maybe from Arthur, Mr. Coffey.
Yes, so item 13E. So item 13E, this is for your approval to enter into an agreement with QKA. The process is kind of outlined in this item, but on May 14th, we initiated the RFP process. There were three candidates. The committee of 5 chose QKA, and we are excited to hopefully enter into this agreement and get the Sunnyvale Middle School modernization rolling.
Okay. First, do we have any member from the community who wish to speak on this particular item? Please raise your hand now.
None?
Okay, since none are there, then move forward. Do we have a motion before we can talk about this?
Sure, I'll move to approve entering into an agreement for architectural services with Quadrology QKA so for the Sunnyvale Middle School campus modernization project.
Do we have any second?
I'll second.
Okay, second. So I think some of our comments was that sometimes, first, was this one of the pre-approved architects from the architect pool that we approved last year with the facility plan?
Correct.
Okay, so then it was, they got an request for proposals, and then they came with like a pretty schematic design or something?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I think one of our questions was that we never really, I mean, we're very excited that we're moving forward with this, and we don't tend to see a lot of the projects, and then sometimes we may have questions, and then we are normally told later, like, oh, well, it's too late, we need to approve it now, or, you know, something bad is gonna happen. And it's, you know, I think we're talking, yeah, about, you know, being more, if we could get more into the process next time, and even get an idea of how it's going and how it's gonna look and how it's gonna end up being, because, you know, it's very important, and it's normally big part of these bonds and big part of the process.
I think it's, I'm assuming it'll be similar to like the two-story building, and we did get that opportunity with that one.
Well, we don't know.
Like when the
This is rest.
but when the two-story one, right, like, we got to look at it before it was a vote, right, to kind of give input, right, because we talked about, I remember, right, being able to share, like, hey, I'm concerned about shade, can you check all the different hours and time of day to make sure the shade's good, right? So I'm just saying, if it's the same process as the two-story building,
Do you
we will
want,
have opportunity to give feedback before the decisions.
Yeah,
And that is the plan. That is the plan. The board would receive regular updates as necessary or as appropriate. So, I mean, it's a long process, but there will be updates to the board.
Isa, are you saying you want more input than what was previously?
More like it was last time, and more input into what it came in the last few months to get.
I think
So
it's
it's
the
just one of the
recovery
factors.
from the playground discussion.
Right, so I think we do want more input earlier in the process.
Yeah, I think if I can jump in, it'll be more like, will be like the two-story building. It'll be less like the playground, because that,
Okay,
if you remember, that was meant to be just like a, not modernization, just maintenance. It wasn't, it was maintenance, right? And then
The
it
smaller
became,
project is.
it became another thing, like it was uncontroversial until it wasn't.
okay,
So that's why that was.
Okay.
Like it, like it was.
So I think like, so can I ask you a question? So I think like, when something's awarded, like, so I was on the committee for the facilities master plan when we selected people, and then, cause I was on the bond committee at that time, and then, like, the district went through its own process to select someone from the, for the strategic master plan. So even though we're not a part of that whole process, like if it's something where like they wowed the team, like it's like, hey, there's schematics, or this is about them, like if that they're really just introducing their firm. If it's not like proprietary or prohibitive to have it be part of our public meeting, like I'm sort of interested in like, hey, like who is this for, like why are we going with them, like why did they get it over the other people, or just not to make more work for your team, but just to sort of just say like, this is what really impressed us about them, you know, and
So kind of like when the text adoption, we might get a little bit of this, like this is why they went with like this curriculum or something.
Yeah, like-
that.
or even the strategic plan or something like this, like well, we love this team because of XYZ, and it just would give us more feedback on like just even feel even better about approving them. I'm totally happy to approve, you know, the team that you guys selected, right? I'm sure it's great, but like I really wanna know why they're great, because I'm really excited that that's gonna happen. It's like a big deal.
Yeah, I think, so what I will say about the process in QKA, we were really excited about the way they approached the modernization project, and how they thought about the challenge of the different avenues we could travel. Full modernization, slight modernization, and complete re-renovation. And so their proposal in their presentation really gave us a flexible, more well-rounded view at how we might address the project. And so that wowed us all. Again, we had a 5-person panel. Won't get into the details, but on the 5-person panel, we had a diversity of backgrounds, and everyone independently graded them and came out as the successful candidate.
Yeah, cause I really feel like we're at this point of kind of refreshing or reimagining a little bit of what middle school is, like whether it's like radical or whether it's just like, hey, we're just in a new post-COVID, life of offerings and things like that. And like, so I feel like space and environment and just we're having a new building right on that campus, I just feel like it's an opportunity to make the space, match, and I'm just thrilled about it, so.
Yeah, and to make it work with the new strategic plan, how you translate that into buildings, and with, definitely would like to be able to have a process like the one we have with the facility master plan, that we had teams from the site, the community, the board, and the district to be part of that.
Yeah, Director Brent Burns had already spoke to this, I think, a bit in the packet review answers, but there will be a period where there will be input obtained during the pre-design. Or I'm sorry, not for the pre-design, but within the scope of the project. And so between that process, the reports back to the board, I think we plan on keeping you in the fold throughout the process. So we're excited.
Okay, so this is time to make the vote on this. Please, everybody who wants to vote, yes, say aye. Aye. Okay, seeing no name, we move forward with aye. The next one will be a verbal summary of compensation package offered to the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and Information System. For that, we have Dr. Gallagher.
Okay, so this is the first of 4, so bear with me as I'll go through 3 and you get to do the last one as well.
Okay.
So, Government Code 54953C3 requires executive compensation to be orally summarized in open session before it is approved by the board. The Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and Information Systems salary will be a base salary of $318,800 for the 24-25 school year. The contract includes placement of step 5 of the 7-step salary schedule. 1 step increment shall be equal to 3% of the base salary during the prior contract year. An annual cell phone stipend will be $600. The assistant superintendent is required to possess and maintain an automobile to be used for travel in the performance of his regularly assigned duties throughout the district and the county of Santa Clara, for which he will receive a flat monthly car allowance of $535. The Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and Information Systems shall be eligible to participate, but is not required to participate at his own expense in the insurance plans, medical, dental, and vision made available by the board to district employees pursuant to section 22119.2B3 of the Education Code and section 125 of the Internal Revenue Code. The Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and Information Systems shall receive a fully paid term life insurance program with a benefit amount of $100,000. The district shall pay the annual dues or fees for 2 associations, state or national, to which the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and Information Systems belongs for purposes related to his duties as Assistant Superintendent, and 1 local service or community club as approved by the superintendent.
Okay, do you want to go through all of them together and then we
No,
vote?
they have to be separate.
So I can jump to G now because it's the same,
Okay,
and then you can.
I move,
you
we
can
don't have to do public
jump
comment.
to G.
We gotta do
No,
public.
he's gonna jump to G first.
Well, but we don't have to say anything, we can just do public comment and I can make the motion.
Go ahead. Well, no, there's nothing to
Then-
approve because,
Yes.
oh, you don't want me to say anything for G?
Okay, go ahead with
G is the one we have to
Yeah.
approve, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, G is the one we have to-
We don't need to say anything, we just need
Go
public
ahead.
comment
Okay,
Go ahead.
so do we have any comments from the public referring to this or G? Okay, then do we have a motion?
I move the board approve classified assistant superintendent of human resources and information systems employment contract and salary schedule as presented.
A second.
Okay, so, yeah, we're gonna approve one by one. Okay, anyone who wants to approve it, please say aye. Aye. We have move to the next one.
I did have one comment. I think next year, each of them should like come up with a little dance that they get to do while Mike is reading the thing. Just kidding, I'm just.
Why wait?
Yeah.
Or we could-
All right,
Start. Starting now.
In all seriousness, like, I just always wanna put my head down when we're talking about that.
Would it be like-
I appreciate that.
Would it be like Kingsley if we made everyone just read their own?
But
Yeah.
That would-
I like the dance, I like the dance idea better.
Music and
All right,
arts,
let's
there's
go
no
to H.
selfish joy.
Okay, so let's go to H, the verbal summary compensation package offered to the chief teaching and learning officer. Please go ahead, Dr. Gallagher.
Okay. Excuse me. Government Code Section 54953C3 requires executive compensation to be orally summarized in open session before it is approved by the board. The chief teaching and learning officer salary will be a base salary of $348,824 for the 24-25 school year. The contract includes placement on step 6 of a 7-step salary schedule. One step increment shall be equal to 3% of the base salary during the prior contract year. Excuse me. An annual cell phone stipend will be $600. The chief teaching and learning officer is required to possess and maintain an automobile to be used for travel in the performance of her regularly assigned duties throughout the district and the county of Santa Clara, for which she will receive a flat monthly car allowance of $535. The chief teaching and learning officer shall be eligible to participate, but is not required to participate at her own expense in the employee insurance plans, medical, dental, and vision made available to the board to district employees pursuant to section 22119.2B3 of the Education Code and section 125 of the Internal Revenue Code. The chief teaching and learning officer shall receive a fully paid term life insurance program with a benefit amount of $100,000. The district shall pay the annual dues or fees for a total of 2 associations, state or national, to which the chief teaching and learning officer belongs for purposes related to her duties as chief teaching and learning officer, and 1 local community club as approved by the superintendent.
Okay, with that, go ahead with I before. I mean, the one that comes attached is, yeah, this was H, the next one is I.
So, yeah, if there was a motion for,
Okay,
Public
so
comment.
with that, do we have any public comment related to this particular item?
Are you on I?
Aye, yes. Okay, if we have none, do we have a motion?
I move to approve the chief teaching and learning officer employment contract and salary schedule.
Okay, any second?
I'll second.
Okay, with that, any comment or questions related to this? Okay, I think we see them and talk about it before. So with this, everyone in favor, please say aye. Aye, okay, another dance. Okay, and now is J, verbal compensation package offered to the chief business officer, and for that, again, Dr. Gallagher.
thanks. So the employment contract for the chief business officer was approved in April 2024. With this amendment, the board modifies the terms outlined in section 2. Compensation of the chief business officer will be a base salary of $283,250 for the 2024-25 school year. The amendment places the chief business officer on step 1 of a 7-step salary schedule. The 1-step increment shall be equal to 3% of the base salary during the prior contract year. Other than as specifically set forth above, the provision of the contract shall remain in full force and effect.
Okay, perfect. And now we move to the next one, which is K. And for that, do we have any comment from the public from either one of these two? Seeing none, then we move forward. Do we have a motion to approve K?
I motion to approve K, the approval of Chief Business Officer employment contract and salary schedule.
Okay, any seconds?
Second.
Okay, with that, do we have a vote already? Everybody please say, if you agree with this, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, with that, we move unanimously. And then we go to the last one, so I'm gonna read the verbal summary of the compensation package offered to the superintendent. Government Code section, section 54953C3 requires executive compensation to be orally summarized in open session before it is approved by the board. The superintendent's salary will be a base salary of $394,563 for the 2024-2025 school year. The contract includes placement on step 5 of a 7-step salary schedule. One step increment shall be equal to 3% of the base salary during the prior contract year. An annual cell phone stipend will be $600. The superintendent is required to possess and maintain automobile to reuse or for travel in the performance of his regularly assigned duties throughout the district and the county of Santa Clara, for which he will receive a flat monthly car allowance of $535. The superintendent shall be eligible to participate, but is not required to participate at his own expense in the insurance plan, medical, dental, and vision made available by the board to district employees pursuant to section 2211.9.2B and 3 of the Education Code and section 125 of the Internal Revenue Code. The superintendent shall receive a full paid term life insurance program with a benefit amount of $135,000. The district shall pay the annual dues for fees of a total of 2 associations, state and national, to which the superintendent belongs for purpose related to his duties as superintendent and to the Sunnyvale Rotary Club. So with that verbal summary, it is also acknowledged. And do we have any comments from the public on item L and M?
No.
Okay, seeing none, we can move forward. Do we have a motion from the board?
I motion approval of superintendent employment contract and salary schedule.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
Okay, with that, any comment before we vote?
I didn't see Mike dance.
You know that.
That's why I made that comment.
Okay.
I think yours is the
No, we're
only,
not.
Mike, I think yours is the only one that specifically calls out the Rotary Club, right? Everyone else has like a choice, is that okay with you?
One of the organizations.
I'm in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
That's part of the job.
Okay, so with that, everybody in favor, please say aye. Aye. And with that, it passes. Everybody has contracts.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
You guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Now.
you.
Huh?
Seriously, I was saying thank you.
Yes,
seriously,
thank
for
you
all
for
you guys do.
everybody.
Thank you very much.
These guys work hard.
Thank you, team.
Yes. So with that, we move to item 14, and we're doing a great time tonight, which is the information agenda, which is only there to be read, but not talk unless we need it. I don't think we have the need of. So with that, we move to number 15, and we are having a great time. It's 9:10, and the next meeting will be Thursday, August 8th, 2024 at 6 p.m., which will be a regular board meeting, and we will be entering the next school year. I want to acknowledge and be grateful of our wonderful translators who stay with us until these very late evenings and give us a very important service. Thank you and good night.
Adjourn?
Adjourn at 9:11. That's about.
Good night, thank you.
Thank you, Adrian.